This experiment is going to focus on the Maillard reaction, and we will be baking cookies to see how the reaction leads to the final product of the cookies. This is a reaction also known as browning or a carbonylamine reaction, and it is what leads to a lot of our foods such as meats and baked goods to have the brown color and the aroma that we desire. This is a reaction that takes place between proteins and sugars breaking down. They're going to rearrange themselves and form cyclic structures. These cyclic structures will absorb light and give off the brown color that we desire. There are three main steps to the Maillard reaction. The first one involves the carbonyl group on the sugar reacting with the protein or the amino acid. This will produce the N-substituted glycosylamine. The second step involves the glycosylamine compound forming isomers, and this is going to be done by undergoing the amidori rearrangement. Finally, the third step is going to involve the product of the rearrangement being able to react and form a range of different products such as different aromas, different browns. So although baking cookies is relatively simple, it undergoes a lot of chemical reactions that we are unaware of. So to begin, here is a list of the ingredients that will be needed. We're going to need flour, baking soda, salt, unsalted butter, brown sugar, granulated sugar, eggs, vanilla extract, and chocolate chips. A few of the chemical reactions that we are going to see in baking cookies are as follows. So, at 92 degrees Fahrenheit, the butter is going to melt, and because butter is an emulsion, which is a mixture of two or more liquids that are immiscible and do not want to stay together, melting the butter is going to release the water that is going to turn into steam, and this is going to allow the dough to expand. At 136 degrees Fahrenheit, we're able to kill the salmonella that lives in eggs, and this is very important so that we don't get sick and get salmonella. So at 144 degrees Fahrenheit, there is going to be changes in the proteins or the eggs. So initially, we're going to have coiled proteins in the eggs, but the increase in temperature is going to cause them to uncoil and create crosslinks. Next, at 112 degrees Fahrenheit, the water is going to boil and evaporate, and both of these processes are going to help with the cookie hardening and getting its defined structure. The leaving agent, which is the sodium bicarbonate or the baking soda, this will react with the acids in the dough, and this will create carbon dioxide gas, and this is going to give the cookie the fluffiness and the air sockets that we really enjoy. Finally, at 310 degrees Fahrenheit, this is the temperature for the Maillard reaction to occur. And this is when the proteins and the sugars are going to break down and rearrange themselves. And we're going to see the color, and we're going to be able to smell the cookies. So a lot of people say that you could actually tell when cookies are ready when you could smell it, because that is the final product of the Maillard reaction, and that's how you know that your cookies are done and ready to take out of the oven. So now we're going to start the actual baking of the cookies. I'm measuring out 2 1/4 cup of flour. I'm going to add that to a bowl that I'm going to mix a couple other ingredients in to just make the flour mixture. I'm going to grab the baking soda and measure 1 teaspoon of that. Again, the baking soda is a sodium bicarbonate that's going to work as a leavening group, and this is going to react with the acids in the dough just to create carbon dioxide gas and make the little air pockets in the cookie that's going to make them fluffy. I'm going to add a sprinkle of salt and just mix it around and set it aside for later. Next, I'm going to grab 1 1/2 cup sticks of unsalted butter. I'm going to measure that out, and eventually I'm going to melt them in the microwave. Again, butter is an emulsion, so it's a mix of water and fats and dairy solids that do not want to stick together. So by melting it, I'm going to able to separate that water that's going to help later in the cooking process to help the dough expand. Here I'm measuring 3/4 cup of brown sugar to make the sugar mixture, and I'm going to add that to a separate bowl. And I'm going to add 2/3 cup of regular granulated sugar and add that to the same bowl, mix it up, and then set it aside for later as well. So once our butter is melted, we're going to add the sugar mixture and the butter into a mixing bowl. We're going to let that mix for about 4 minutes, and then we're going to add 2 eggs separately. So first the first egg and then the second egg, and we're going to allow that to keep mixing. Then we're going to go ahead and add in our flour mixture, and we're going to let the batter keep mixing until all the ingredients are mixed together. I added vanilla just for the flavor. I added a teaspoon of that, a little bit more than a teaspoon. And finally, the chocolate chips. So once the batter is ready, I'm going to preheat the oven to 375 degrees. And again, the high temperature is necessary for all the chemical reactions in the baking process, such as killing the salmonella, changing the coiled proteins in the eggs to uncoiled and creating those link structures, and boiling away the H2O to stiffen the cookies, and of course for the Maillard reaction that requires a 310 degrees Fahrenheit in order for it to occur. Here I'm just trying my best to set out the cookies. I had to do a plan B and put them in cupcake molds because I ran out of space. I'm putting them into the oven that's already heated to 375. In the following clip, the initial inspection of the cookies will show how the cookies are beginning to expand. That's an indication how the butter is melting even more, and that water is separating and allowing the cookies to expand, as shown in this clip right here. Next, we start to see the cookies starting to form its shape. That's an indication that the eggs are starting to create those crosslings. And finally, we see that brown color, and we were really able to smell the cookies, indicating that the Maillard reaction has in fact occurred. Here's me with my semi-decent cookies. I do not know how to cook, but they came out alright. Thank you.